And last still restriction. Don't let me lose you now, okay? We're on the last one for today, y'all. Alright, so the vertical asymptote is just going to be the same as your remaining domain restriction. What do you think I mean by remaining domain restriction? After you have a hole. Yes, so it's whatever domain restriction is left after you cancel out your factors or you have a hole, okay? So we already did the first example on the first page, okay? We took out a -2 and was left with x minus 2 over x minus 3, okay? Let's go back to this one, because we found our domain restriction to be what? X can't equal 3, right? We already did this on the first page. So its domain was from -infinity to 3 union 3 to infinity. That is on the first page, the first example. All right? Now, does this one have a hole? So if I asked, does it have a hole? Yes or no? Why not? Nothing can cancel out, so if I asked if there's a hole, you would put none or no. Don't put 0, because I'm going to think you think there's a hole at 0. Put none or no hole. There's no hole because nothing cancels out, right? So you don't have to plug anything in. You don't have to worry about that ordered pair because there isn't one. There's nothing that simplifies, okay? So, since I didn't get rid of any domain restrictions, this new vertical asymptote, the remaining domain restriction is, that's my only domain restriction. Did I get rid of him with a hole? No, so he is my vertical asymptote. He is that dotted line I drew at the very beginning of class, that where your domain has to stop, okay? It is a wall or a vertical line, okay? What if I got rid of that? That if I somehow canceled x minus 3, would that be a domain restriction? No, because I got rid of him, okay? That's why it's very important to do your domain and then check if you have a hole, because if you have a hole, your remaining domain restriction is your vertical asymptote, okay? I'm going to show you what I mean with having a hole. Yes?
What will be x minus 3 on top, so x minus 2, right?
Yeah?
Will that be a hole, and it will be a vertical asymptote because it's
Yes, exactly. Yes, good question. I'm going to show y'all what I mean though, okay? So let's do number 3. We already factored this one, right? This is again the same number. Actually, let's do number 5. We did this one too, okay? Can somebody go back to number 5 on the first page and tell me what we factored this to be?
2 on the outside.
2 on the outside, and then it was what?
X squared minus x minus 2. Oh.
X, well then what did we factor it to be?
X minus 2 and x plus 1.
Okay, x minus 2 and x plus 1, right? And the bottom factor to be what, Leon?
X plus 3 and x minus 2.
X minus 2 and x plus 3. Okay, that's if I factored this whole domain, okay? So, we did this one, that's why I'm not taking the time to go through it. Now, do I have a hole this time? I do have a hole, right? Because I'm getting rid of what? X minus 2. But let's go through and find all that stuff first. So, what's my domain restrictions? It's what? Nope. Domain restrictions come from what? Numerator to denominator? Positive 2 and... So we already found the domain on this one because we did it on the first page. It was from -infinity to -3, union -3 to 2, and then union 2 to infinity. Okay? We already did that one. Now, do we have a hole? That's my question for you. Yes, right? Because I'm getting rid of which factor? X minus 2. So what's the x value of my hole? Not -2, it's going to be what? What's left over now that I've taken out that x minus 2? 2 times x plus 1, right? That's the only thing left in the numerator. What's left in the denominator? Okay, so let's find the y value of the whole. What do I have to do? I do what?
You have to put in the calculator.
I have to put in the calculator, but what am I plugging in for x? 2. Anna, will you do that for me? Or Anna, will you do that for me? 6 over.
Oh.
So my whole is at 2 comma 6 over 5, okay? Now, what is the remaining domain restriction to tell me my vertical asymptote? What is the only domain restriction left over after I took my whole? I got rid of -2, so really he's not a domain restriction anymore. The only one that's left over, or my only vertical asymptote, is x equals -3. Why didn't I include +2? Because he canceled out with the whole, okay? So your only vertical asymptote, or the only remaining domain restriction, is x minus 3. That's it. If I didn't get rid of this x minus 2, both of them would be vertical asymptotes, okay? If I didn't get rid of it, they would both be vertical asymptotes. All right? Questions on these 3? What don't you understand? That's the question. So,
Where'd you get that VA from?
that's vertical asymptote. I just abbreviated it. It's the same thing as your domain restrictions. He's a domain restriction, right?
Canceled out the 2 above it.
Because I canceled him out with the whole. So the only domain... No, we didn't. He's still there.
Oh.
He's still there.
Every domain restriction is either a whole or a vertical asymptote.
Yes. Did y'all hear, Coach?
Every domain restriction is one of 2 things. It's either a whole or a vertical asymptote.
It's one of 2 things.
So when you name your domain restrictions, each one of those numbers is either have to be a whole at that number or a vertical asymptote at that number.
So we see that the whole was at +2. That's the one domain restriction. So he became a whole. He is no longer a vertical asymptote. Whereas the other domain restriction never canceled out. He was still there. So he was a vertical asymptote. Okay? Do we see that? They didn't necessarily disappear, but that too just became part of your whole because you got rid of it. Okay? Don't overcomplicate it. You're just looking at which one did I not get rid of in my denominator, basically, right? I didn't get rid of -3, so he is still my vertical asymptote. Okay? We good?
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Your homework.
Oh, man.
Yes, sir. Your homework is going to be 2, 4, and 6. Just the even ones. What I want you to find, hold on, listen up. What I want you to find on all 3 of these, homework is number 2, 4, and 6. Sorry. I think I said 5. You need to find domain, if there is a whole or not, and 3 will be, what's the one we just learned?
VA.
Vertical asymptote, or VA, okay? You are finding each of those 3 with each of those homework questions, okay? You now have the videos, you have examples. I've worked out all 3 of them on this example, so that is your homework that will be checked next class, okay? 3 problems.
Is there any zero on the bro?
Is there what?
The 0, he said 0 got cut off.
Let's check. I don't think so. Make sure yours matches mine, but I think they should be good. There's no zeros on this page to get rid of.